Okay, boys and girls, today we are doing Chapter 9, Lesson 2, Distributive Property of Multiplication. Our learning intention is I am learning distributive property so that I can make harder problems into easier problems. So let's look at some vocabulary, before we get started. I'm going to squish this down a little bit so that you can see the whole thing. Okay, so we have 4 words that we need to go over. The first one is decompose. It means to take apart numbers. Factor is a number that you multiply. Sum is the answer to an addition problem. And a product is the answer to a multiplication problem. So we are going to be working on pages 507, 508, and 509 today. The distributive property allows you to decompose one factor, then you can use the smaller known facts to find products. We just went over what those vocabulary words mean. So Henry's hardware store sells wrench sets. Each set holds some wrenches. Okay, so I see these wrench sets. I know what wrenches are because I used to work on cars with my dad. And so I know what those are. And I know that they each hold some amount of wrenches in them. So let's find out how many wrenches that is. Henry's hardware store sells 6 wrench sets. Each set holds 8 wrenches. Okay, that's all I know. I don't know how many sets he has. So I'm going to go ahead and read the question along with it. Henry's hardware store sells wrench sets. Each set holds 8 wrenches. How many wrenches are there in 6 sets? Okay, that solves that problem. So how many wrenches are there in 6 sets? So I need to find 8 times 6. Now remember that we are teaching you distributive property when the multiplication is easier. I know you can probably figure it out another way, but if you can learn this harder concept of distributive property when the numbers are easier, then when the numbers get harder, the distributive property part becomes easier. Okay, so we're going to decompose one factor. One way is to decompose 6 into 5 plus 1. Now, in my last video, remember I said that it's easier to decompose numbers into your friendly numbers. Friendly numbers are the 1s, the 2s, the 5s, and the 10s because we know how to skip count by those. Handily, 6 decomposes into 5 and 1, 2 friendly numbers. So that makes life easier. So we have 8 times 6 right here for this array. Now remember, the equal sign means is the same as. It doesn't mean here comes the answer. So 8 times 6 is the same as saying 8 times 5 plus 8 times 1. Notice that these 8s right here stayed the same because the number of rows stayed the same. We just decomposed 6 into 5 and 1. So 5 and 1 are right here. You group those factors with parentheses. Keep them together because that tells your brain those are part of the same array. Okay, so 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 1 is 8, and then that's super easy to add together. 40 plus 8, you can hear it when you say it, is 48. So 8 times 6 is the same as 48. There are 48 wrenches altogether. Okay, now we're going on to example 2. Karina's dad used some boards to build a picnic table. Now I see the question word how on the next sentence and a question mark at the end, which tells me that this is a question. And I'm not supposed to read the question yet, but the question has one of my facts in it. So when they do that in word problems, you usually have the word if. And I'm going to highlight the word if. And I can see that that gives me the part of the sentence that has my fact in it. So I'm going to read the first sentence, and then I'm going to start with the word if and finish the question like as if it is a statement. So Karina's dad used some boards to build a picnic table. If each board needed some nails. Okay, so now in my imagination, I know I have some boards, and I know that each board needs some nails. So now I'm going to read it with the numbers to see how many of those it needs. Karina's dad used 7 boards to build a picnic table. If each board needed 7 nails, okay, so now I know I've got 7 boards and each board needs 7 nails. So now I'm going to read it with the question. I'm going to read it, all of it, the way that it's written. Karina's dad used 7 boards to build a picnic table. How many nails were used if each board needed 7 nails? Okay, so now I know I need to know how many nails that he used altogether. So we're going to find 7 times 7. 7 groups of 7, 7 boards of 7 nails. And I'm going to decompose one factor. One way is to decompose 7 into 5 plus 2. Now, you can do either factor. So this time they decided to do the rows of factor. And I'm glad they did that because they've been doing the columns factor. And that gives you the idea you can only decompose columns, but you can decompose rows as well. In this case, it doesn't matter because they're both 7. But anyway. So we're going to go ahead and write the numbers into the equation. So we start out with 7 times 7, that's 7 boards of 7 nails. And remember that the equal sign means is the same as. So 7 times 7 is the same as saying 5 times 7, 5 rows of 7. So I'm going to color code. I'm going to do the 7s first because they stay the same. So it's 5 rows of 7 and 2 rows of 7. So I made those red to match the red 7 up here. Now I'm going to grab a green and I'm going to put in my rows of. So 7 times 7 is the same as 5 rows of 7 plus 2 rows of 7. Okay, I'm going to switch to black so that we don't get confused with our greens and our reds. Now I know I can skip count by 5s up 7 fingers to get my answer. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So this one is 35. And then 2 times 7, I know that one in my head, so I know that 2 times 7 is 14. I could count by 2s up 7 fingers, though, if I don't know it by heart, but I happen to know it by heart. Now I'm going to add these. I have 2 choices when I add these. I can write them down, or I can do them in my head. So let's write them down first so you can see how that works. In 3rd grade, our addition and subtraction problems now almost always have 2 or more columns. So we always stack, and I did this wrong. I wrote 34 instead of 35. Easily fixed. So we always stack our problems now in 3rd grade because they're bigger problems, and it's way too hard to try to add or subtract with them written out horizontally. So we always stack them and write them vertically to help us solve our problems. So we always start in the ones place. 5 plus 4 is 9. 3 plus 1 is 4. So the answer is 49. Let's do it in our heads. So I'm going to switch to a highlighter so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to do my tens place first. So I'm going to color my 3 and my 1 because those are in the tens place. And I'm going to say to myself, 30 plus 1, or excuse me, 30 plus 10 is 40. So I know that I have 40. And then I need to add the ones place. So I have 5 plus 4, which is 9. And 40 plus 9 is 49. So Karina and her dad used 49 nails altogether. Let's do guided practice. Now, the way that this works is I will explain the problem to you, and then you will pause the video, put your answers in, and then unpause the video, and I will give you the answers. If you get it wrong, please fix it so you practice it correctly, so you know what it should look like. So we're going to use the distributive property to find each product. So number 1 is 8 times 3. So you are going to pick a factor. I like to pick the bigger factor. So in this case, that is 8. And I want to try and find my friendly numbers to decompose it into. So find 2 friendly numbers, or find 1 friendly number and the other number that equals 8, and rewrite the equation on the blue lines next to it. You don't have to multiply them yet. Just do that first line. 8 times 3 is the same as blank times blank plus blank times blank. Pause the video. Okay, so I'm decomposing the 8 because it's the bigger factor, and one of my friendly numbers is 5, so I can divide it into, I can decompose it into 5 and 3. So I'm going to put 5 on this blank and 3 on this blank. Okay, and then we're going to multiply both of them by the other factor. So 3 and 3. So we keep this factor the same. This one we decomposed. Okay, now I want you to multiply each of those sets of factors and write the number on the blue line underneath, the answer. Write the product on the blue line underneath, and pause the video. Okay, I know 5 times 3 is 15, and I know 3 times 3 is 9. Now we're going to add those 2 products to come up with the sum, which is the answer to 8 times 3. So add 15 and 9. Pause the video, add 15 and 9, write your answer on the blue line. Okay, so we are going to add 15 and 9, so I'm going to do it both ways. I like to do it twice because I make mistakes with numbers, and so I like to do it twice just to make sure I'm right. So I'm going to do 15 plus 9 stacked together. Remember that 9 and 5 are in the ones place, so they need to be lined up. So 5 plus 9 is 14. I'm going to put the 4 down because the 4 isn't the ones digit, and it has 1 10 in it, so I carry the 10 to the tens place. 10 plus 10 is 20. So it is 24. Now I'm going to add it mentally to see if I get the same answer. Okay, so I'm going to start in the tens place. I have 1 10 here, and I have 0 10s there, so that is 10. Now be careful, watch this. I have 5 plus 9. I know that 5 plus 9 is 14. 14 and 10 is 24. So I know that my answer then is 24. And it's the same as this one over here. Okay, you can decompose either 8, it doesn't matter. And you are going to fill in the entire thing. We did this, the first one we did in steps. I want you to pause the video, do the entire thing, and then I'm going to come back with my answer. And we should end up with the same number in the bottom blue line. So pause the video. Okay, so it doesn't matter which number you decompose. I'm going to decompose the second 8. So I'm going to do 8 and 8 here. And I'm going to decompose this 8, the second 8, into 5 and 3. So 8 times 8 is the same as 8 times 5 plus 8 times 3. Then I multiplied it. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 3 is 24. I'm going to add these numbers up. First, I'm going to stack them and try it that way. Oops, my plus sign didn't quite come out. There we go. So in the ones place, 0 plus 4 is 4. In the tens place, 40 plus 20 is 60. So the answer is 64. Let's try it with our mental math way. Okay, 40 and 20 is 60. 0 and 4 is 4. So the answer is 64, which agrees with this number over here. Let's get ready to move to page 509. Okay, this is page 509. This is your independent practice. If your teacher gave you specific directions that you're supposed to follow, please stop the video and go on and do your work. Remember, you can come back to this video for helpful hints if you're struggling with how to do this on your own. My class needs to watch this part because this is important for how I plan to grade this. So you will get a grade for putting an answer on the blue line, but you can do these without using distributive property. So that is why for every single one, you need to draw an array. That is an A, by the way, and the equation. So basically, you're doing everything we just did on the other two pages, but you're writing your own. So an array and an equation here, and an array and an equation here, an array and an equation here. Let me move this up a little bit. You need one for number 6 as well. You also need one for 7 and 8. You need to show how you decompose the array as well, not just draw the array, okay? Because this is slightly more than just drawing arrays. So make sure you show how the array is decomposed, okay? You have to do that for 9 and 10. You do not have to draw the rectangles. If you want to draw a line down the middle of your page and across to kind of help keep it neat and orderly, that's fine, but you don't have to draw the rectangles. That's just to show you that I want this in all of, sorry, I keep bumping my microphone. Okay, I want all of this on every single one. And make sure that the array is decomposed. You can do that by doing it in two colors. You can draw a line through it, but you need to have the decomposed array and the equation. Okay, now for the Easter egg. I want you to go to the bottom of the page, and down here where it says lesson 2, I want you to, you can do it in any color you want. I want you to write, I'm going to do it in orange. I want you to draw a little Easter egg. Boop. If you want to decorate it, you can. There's my egg. I'm going to put little dots on it. Boom, 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 boom. And I'm going to put a stripe through it. I'm going to make my line a little thicker. Have some fun with it. Draw an actual Easter egg. Okay, let's see. And I'm going to do like a peach colored stripe. Boop, sort of like that. So down at the bottom of page 509, I want you to draw an actual Easter egg. Okay. Good luck, you guys. Do a good job. This is a really important lesson that you need to learn because you are going to have this on the spring testing.